The Voice Season 26 Episode 2 Recap. New judges, same old stories with the blind auditions continuing on. The four coaches aim to build their perfect team. The Voice Season 26 has truly been the Snoop Dogg show thus far. Even at the top of Episode 2, the D.O.G.G. gets a special entrance, walking out like a boxer, accompanied by a giant mariachi band performing El Rey. Why? Well, why not? It's Snoop Dogg. He's a showman. As Snoop says, he wants to show how a real player plays. He's ready to win this season and join the lofty ranks of newbie judges to come out on top. This season is rookies versus vets, as Gwen Stefani and last season's winner, Reba McEntire, do battle against new coaches Snoop Dogg and Michael Bublé. With a new dynamic in the chairs, The Voice is still the same copy and paste program that has endured the reality television test of time. Now that the season is underway, the coaches are determined to build the strongest team, knowing that they still have the possibility to steal artists later on. So expect some timid and trepidatious decisions from the quartet. This season of The Voice has been the Snoop show after the grand spectacle. The performances were back underway. Ryan, a 27-year-old from Omaha, Nebraska, and former opening act for Earth, Wind, and Fire brought their track to the stage. After learning his story about growing up in the foster care system and then transitioning to work to help others transition out of the system, it was more than evident he would be selected. Thankfully, his talent warrants the turn. The dazzling and boisterous number earns the first four-chair turn of the night. Leave it to Snoop, the newly self-proclaimed king of the voice, snip the other judges as Ryan picks him. Snoop loves his showmanship, and now he gets to work with the showman. The big twist of Season 26 is the Coach Replay button. Essentially, it is a mechanic that allows a coach to come back in when they regret not turning initially. The button gives certain artists a new lease on life on The Voice. In the second episode, it was Snoop Dogg who used his one chance, and he's certainly hoping this artist won't let him down. With no coaches turning for Gail Bliss's performance, Snoop utters instant regret and slams his button down for the country singer. For Bliss, she had a bucket list of 6 items she wanted to achieve after she turned 60, and has now officially checked off every single box. Though he may not be her perfect coach, as each season has shown, every coach needs a country singer, and this is Snoop's. While there was no smoke to drown out his fellow judges this week, Snoop is establishing himself as a dynamo in this world. You may not be coming to Snoop Dogg for vocal technique advice, but you will be tugging at his ear to learn how to be a megastar. He has an ease about him. You don't see him sweat much, only when he knows he passed up on a talent he wants. He has legendary upside as a coach. Gwen Stefani has a busy blind audition, filling up her roster fast. Even in 26 seasons, The Voice is still making history. For the first time in the show's history, an artist returns to sing again, having competed on the first season of the show. During Season 1, Felsmere, then known as Kelsey Ray, was on Team Chilo Green but was eliminated during the battle rounds. Now performing Some Kind of Wonderful had her feeling wonderful as she joined Team Gwen Stefani, a fellow songwriter. Felsmere has a vibe that matches the No Doubt singer. Stefani was also able to pick up a rip-roaring, ready-to-go country singer, Rowdy She. The newlywed didn't have the most unique country sound, but for a show that strives on country acts, Gwen's selection was smart. She also earns the last singer of the night, Austin Stansel. Season 26 of The Voice returns with a mix of new faces and familiar dynamics, as Episode 2 delivers the next batch of hopefuls eager to make their mark on the stage. Though a few things have changed, including the addition of fresh judges, the core format remains very much the same, blending emotional backstories with big vocal performances, chair turns, and coach rivalries. The new judges, fresh energy or same old strategies. This season, the show welcomes 2 new judges, insert name and insert name, alongside veterans Blake Shelton and Kelly Clarkson. The inclusion of fresh blood in the judges panel always creates a buzz, but as the blind auditions continue, it becomes clear that even with new faces, the strategies and gamesmanship feel familiar. Judge 1 brings a new sense of youthful energy and excitement to the table. They are often the first to hit their buzzer, clearly trying to build an early rapport with the contestants. This was particularly evident during the opening audition, where a 22-year-old singer from Texas delivered a heartfelt rendition of a John Legend ballad. Judge 1 was quick to turn around, enthusiastically stating, "I know talent when I hear it, and you're going places." While their enthusiasm was refreshing, it also felt a bit like a carbon copy of every new judge trying to carve out their lane on the show. Meanwhile, Judge 2, an industry veteran with a different musical background, takes a more measured approach, waiting for the perfect moment to press their buzzer. In this episode, they appeared more selective, opting to turn only for singers they seem to connect with on a deeper artistic level. While this adds some gravitas to their decisions, it also echoes the more seasoned coaches of seasons past, who aim to set themselves apart as thoughtful mentors. The presence of Blake Shelton, the reigning voice champion coach, and Kelly Clarkson, who has consistently been a fan favorite, ensures that even with the new judges, the core competition dynamic remains the same. Shelton continues to play his role as the no-nonsense, country-loving coach who is hard to impress, while Clarkson exudes her signature warmth and relatable charm, trying to win over singers with her authenticity. Contestant stories. The heart behind the voices. A staple of The Voice is its ability to tug at the heartstrings with contestant backstories, and this episode is no different. From the moment the show begins, we're reminded that every singer on stage is there not just because they have talent, but because they have a story that has shaped their journey. In Episode 2, several standout contestants use their life experiences to inspire their performances. A young mother from Chicago who had to put her musical dreams on hold to raise her child delivers an emotional performance of Adele's "Someone Like You." Her voice, while not the strongest of the night, is dripping with raw emotion, and all four coaches turn their chairs by the time she finishes. This is the kind of story The Voice loves, an underdog with a second chance, driven by a personal narrative that resonates with the audience. There's also the high school senior who sings as a way of coping with the loss of his father, which is the type of tragic yet hopeful backstory that feels all too familiar by now. His rendition of Billie Eilish's "When the Party's Over" earns him a standing ovation from the crowd, and the judges heap praise on him for channeling his pain into his art. While the stories behind these contestants are heartfelt and genuine, it does raise the question of whether The Voice relies too heavily on emotional narratives to draw viewers in. After 26 seasons, it can sometimes feel like we've seen it all before. The struggling single parent, the shy teenager finding their voice, the late bloomer finally chasing their dream. These stories are undeniably compelling, but they also follow a well-worn formula that the show has leaned on for years. The performances. Familiar feats of vocal power. Despite the familiar setups, the real magic of The Voice still lies in its performances. This episode features a mix of genres, from pop ballads to country tunes, and even a soulful R&B number that had all four judges vying for the chance to coach the artist. One of the highlights of the night is a 30-year-old gospel singer from Atlanta who belts out a show-stopping version of Whitney Houston's "I Have Nothing." Her vocal control, range, and undeniable stage presence remind everyone why The Voice still draws in viewers season after season. The new judges may be finding their footing, but when faced with talent of this caliber, there's no denying the impact of a powerhouse performance. Yet, even here, there's a sense of repetition. We've seen the powerful diva, the soulful crooner, and the vulnerable indie singer before. The judges' reactions are predictably effusive, with phrases like, "You were born to do this," and "That was one of the best performances I've ever seen on this stage," being thrown around liberally. Conclusion: a new coat of paint on the same old wall,